The Super Bowl is finally here, and this DFS slate is one of our biggest opportunities out of the entire year to cash in and make big DFS profits because of how much casual and recreational money will be flooding the lobbies on this Sunday. With that said, when there are hundreds of thousands of other players in your contest, you need to be careful to not make mistakes. My name's Jordan Chan. I'm the head coach here at SaberSim, and in this video, I'm going to be giving you my top 5 tips to crush your Super Bowl DFS contest this Sunday. Now, before we get started, if you need a refresher on the fundamentals of NFL Showdown strategy or how to build these lineups on SaberSim, check out the video linked in the description of this one. And if you want to go deeper into any of the concepts I'm talking about here, check out the video linked in the description where I did an interview with Max and Matt from the SaberSim team here to talk about their advanced strategies they're using this weekend here to dominate the Super Bowl DFS lobby. Now let's get into tip number 1 for dominating the Super Bowl DFS lobby, and that's to leverage play-by-play simulations in your lineup building process. It's going to take the optimal lineup to take down any of these contests, which means average projections, how players are projected to do on average, are only going to be so helpful. You need to build lineups that can be the highest possible scoring lineup for a given way that the game will play out. And that's exactly what happens when you build on SaberSim. The most important thing you can be doing in your lineup building process here is making sure that your sim diversity setting is set to 10. That's going to mean every lineup you build on SaberSim is the optimal lineup for a single simulation we have for the game and can be the winning lineup when we kick off on Sunday. Tip number 2 is to leave a little bit of salary on the table and make adjustments to your salary settings overall. The reason why is we want to avoid heavily duplicated lineups on Sunday. It's very hard to come in first place in one of these contests at all, and when we do, we don't want to be sharing that first place prize with hundreds or even thousands of other people. We want to play lineups that are less likely to be played by other players while still having a good chance to win, and one of the ways we can do that is with salary adjustments. Players building by hand or using traditional optimizers are very likely to use all or very close to all of the salary available to them in their lineups, but lineups that leave some salary on the table are still very live to win. I recommend turning your minimum salary down to 0 here and your maximum salary down to $49,000 on DraftKings. And on FanDuel, do a similar thing, just leave $1,000 salary on the table in each of your lineups. This is going to mean that the pool of your lineups is a little bit less likely to be duplicated, but you're still building play-by-play simulated optimals in each of your lineups, making sure those lineups are still very live to win your contests. Now, tip number 3 here is to find the best lineups to play in your contest. And I know this sounds obvious. I'm sure you're thinking, Jordan, I know I should be trying to find the best DFS lineups possible. But most DFS players for the Super Bowl slates are going to be using projected score to sort their lineups. And again, we don't care what happens on average in this contest. They're going to be playing the Super Bowl one time, and we need to make sure that we're building the optimal lineup for the way that the game is going to play out. If you're on SaberSim Standard or Pro, you can take advantage of SaberScore, which is going to take into account the ownership of the lineup and how likely the lineup is to be optimal to identify the best possible lineups to play. And if you're on SaberSim Ultimate, you can take advantage of the powerful contest sim settings here to run contest sims to see which of your lineups are showing up as the most profitable over 100,000 simulations of both this game and the contest you intend to play to quickly identify the most profitable lineups from your pool. There really is no better time to use contest sims than NFL Showdown, and there's no better NFL Showdown slate than the Super Bowl. Contest sims allow you to take into account how likely the lineup is to win, how likely it is to cash, and most importantly, how often it is going to be duplicated in these large field contests to quickly identify what the most profitable lineups are for you to play. If you haven't checked out SaberSim Ultimate before, this is a great opportunity to start a free 5-day trial, either in the app, in the upper right in the My Account settings, or on our site at sabersim.com. Tip number 4 is to take a stand and fade the field. These contests are enormous. You are going to be competing against hundreds of thousands of other lineups, which means it's valuable to do something a little bit unique in your builds. This doesn't necessarily mean you need to go completely off the wall and build a lineup full of a bunch of minimum salary players. In fact, you probably shouldn't do that. But do some research or just trust your gut and try to build a construction that is a little bit unique. What do you think most other DFS players are going to do with your lineups? How can you play a different angle when it comes to your lineup constructions? I'll give you an example from what I'm thinking for this particular slate. I think the Chiefs are going to be pretty popular here with the Taylor Swift narrative and a lot of casuals playing this particular slate. I think guys like Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce are all going to be a little more popular than expected here. I think the 49ers skill position players, particularly those not named Christian McCaffrey, so guys like George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Brandon Ayuk, are some of my favorite targets on this particular slate. So I'm going to be bumping up my exposure and projections to those players when I'm building my lineups to make sure I'm getting more of them in my particular lineups. Now again, the point here is not to just copy my particular take. Do your research or trust your gut and make some adjustments based on what you think is going to be a less popular approach to lineup construction for this slate. And finally, tip number 5 is to do your homework. As I mentioned before, the Super Bowl is one of our biggest profit opportunities for DFS out of the entire year, but it can blow right by you, and it's easy to make mistakes if you're not prepared. Now, you've already done a good job on this particular tip by watching this video, but you can always go a little bit deeper to make sure you're ready for the big game. Whether you need a brush up on fundamental NFL showdown strategy when you're building your lineups with SaberSim, or you want to go a little bit deeper into any of the concepts I talked about in this video, I've got 2 great videos linked in the description that are ready for you to watch next. In the meantime, enjoy the Super Bowl, good luck this Sunday, and I'll see you next time.